Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a global movement that's completely rethinking the purpose of school. It's about transforming classrooms from places you just memorize stuff into launch pads for solving real-world problems. This is all coming to a head at the GLOW conference, and we're going to take you right inside.
Okay, so let's get right to it. At the very heart of this whole movement is a really critical problem. There is this huge, growing gap between what students are learning in school and the skills they actually need to survive and thrive out there in our complex, interconnected world.
I mean, just look at that number, 89%. It's staggering. A survey of 900 executives shows this massive challenge in the workforce. And get this, they're not struggling to find people with technical know-how. They're struggling to find people who can think critically, who can adapt, and who can work with others effectively.
Now, what's so fascinating here is the kind of skills we're talking about. Notice none of these are about a specific piece of software or technical process. A lot of people used to call these soft skills, but that term doesn't really cut it. It's better to think of them as durable human skills. These are the abilities that don't get outdated with the next iPhone update. They're the very engine that helps us navigate constant change.
So this is it. This is the fundamental question that thousands of passionate educators and leaders are wrestling with. The old way of doing school, it was built for a totally different time. The challenge now is to build something new, something designed for the world our kids will actually inherit and shape.
So in response to this massive challenge, you've got this vibrant global community coming together. And they're not just there to talk. They're there to build real, actionable strategies for a new kind of education.
And that brings us to the GLOW conference. It stands for Global Learning for an Open World. And honestly, it's way more than just an event. Think of it as a hub for a whole movement. It's a place where innovators can share what's actually working, from a single classroom to an entire school system, all with the goal of empowering future-ready learners.
So what's the big idea that's driving this whole revolution? What does this new playbook actually look like when you get down to it? Well, the core concept is something called global competence. Now, this isn't another subject you have to squeeze into an already packed schedule. It's more like a framework that holds everything else together and gives it purpose. It's about developing the ability to investigate the world, to see things from different perspectives, communicate across cultures, and, this is the most important part, to actually take action.
And this comparison just lays out the shifts so perfectly. We're moving away from the sage on the stage, where the teacher just lectures at a room full of passive students. Instead, we're moving toward the guide on the side, where educators empower students to lead their own discovery. The focus isn't on memorizing answers anymore. It's about tackling real, messy problems that don't have a simple solution in the back of the book.
So these are the core ingredients for developing the whole person, not just the academic part. We're talking about integrating social and emotional skills, fostering genuine empathy, and making sure that what's being taught is actually relevant to every student's culture and life. And it all builds towards this idea of a solutionary mindset. We'll come back to that word, which is all about seeing problems not as dead ends, but as opportunities to create something new.
Okay, but a great idea is only great if it can actually spread, right? That's where organizations like 100 come in. They've laid out this super clear 4-step framework for figuring out which educational ideas are the real deal. An idea has to have a solid core, it needs to be adaptable, it needs to be scalable, and, critically, it has to have at least a year of data showing it actually works.
So what's the framework? That's the theory. But what does it actually look like when it comes to life in a real classroom? Because this isn't just talk. When you give students the space to use these skills, the results can be absolutely transformative. So let's take this story. It's about a student whose friend was really struggling to afford prosthetic limbs. She felt like she had to do something, and that initial passion, well, that was the spark for an incredible learning journey. But, the real world is complicated. She pretty quickly found out that used prosthetics can't just be donated and refitted for someone else. She hit a wall. And it was a moment of failure. She was totally devastated. And this right here is the most important part of the story. In a traditional classroom, a dead end like that might just mean a bad grade. But in this new model, it was the real beginning.
That failure forced her to think deeper, to research more, and to get into the messy, flexible work of what it's actually like to solve a problem. And she's not alone. When educators create the right kind of environment, the results are just astonishing. You see students designing entire world fairs from the ground up. You see a kid using his Discord server to teach himself how to code video games. You see another group tackling local water quality and connecting it to huge global frameworks like the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. It's incredible.
Now, these amazing classroom stories aren't just happening in a vacuum. They're being shared, amplified, and scaled up through a really powerful global network of organizations and platforms.
I mean, just look at this number. We're seeing grassroots movements like Global School Play Day connect over 1 million students in more than 75 countries, all for the simple, powerful idea that unstructured play is a critical tool for development.
And technology is the glue that holds a lot of this together. You have platforms like Empatico that let classrooms in different countries connect and work together virtually. You have 100 curating that database of proven ideas. And then organizations like Geo, the My Hero Project, and Taking It Global are giving kids and teachers tools for travel, storytelling, and large-scale action projects.
So all of this, the frameworks, the student stories, the global networks, it all leads to one final fundamental question. What is the ultimate mission here? What's the biggest takeaway from this whole shift in education?
The endgame here, it's so much more profound than just getting better test scores. It's about cultivating what the educator Zoe Whale calls solutionaries. It's about raising a generation of young people who have the skills, the knowledge, and, most importantly, the drive to take on the world's most pressing challenges. And that really just leaves us with this powerful final thought. Education isn't just about preparing students for the world as it is. It's about empowering them to create the world that will be. So the real question isn't just what we're going to teach, it's what kind of world we're going to build together.